I want to begin in the studio regarding what we understood of the week. We have seen and we have heard whether or not the U.S. Administration and military would be taking stances against Iran and an attack as of Saturday. But such the situation has not increased as of yet. We have seen, and according to the news, we have seen that Jordan, a neighboring country to Israel, ruled out allowing its territory to be used as a launch point for military action against Iran, as told in the New York Times. I want to ask John Dalton, the issue with Iran is not new, and it has been prolonging for the last 50 or so days of this year, and we understand how it has huge implications towards other neighborhood countries inside the Middle East. What is your observations?
Well, I think they're doing the best they can to keep the pressure on, to get concessions, as many concessions as they possibly can. To reference what Norman has said in the past, and he'll speak for himself, of course, is that you don't mobilize those kind of military assets unless you plan to use them. So that's the risk factor that is being imposed on Iran to come to some kind of agreement to stop the enrichment of uranium and also to close down some of their nuclear facilities. I think the action by Jordan is a steadfast ally of the United States. And so when the king takes a position like that he's not going to allow Jordan to be a staging area, and I believe the UK has made similar decisions, and there's American bases in both of those countries. I think it's a kind of recognition by part of the global community that pushing this sort of like warlike bellicose attitude coming out of the United States has to be modulated. I think if Hegseth had his way, of course, he might counsel the president to attack, and Netanyahu would counsel the president to attack. I hope not, because it definitely would have a long-term destabilizing effect on United States relations in the region.
I want to focus more with Norman Floyd Barnes. There are some strategic updates regarding the Iran-US possible conflict. However, there is news from the United States that the Supreme Court rules Trump global tariffs as illegal. That was one of the headlines coming through over the weekend. I want to know what are the vibes that you collect from this. Some Republicans are saying that this is a Trump maneuver that had actually helped Donald Trump for the coming days, courtesy of the Supreme Courts. I want to understand from Norman Floyd Barnes. A very good morning to you, sir. What are your observations?
Greetings from, hello? Yeah, greetings
Yes.
from Washington. Over the weekend, the Trump administration has responded to the ruling by the Supreme Court that his emergency tariffs program has been designated as illegal. So what that means is that the additional tariffs put on by the Trump administration to countries that did not comply with the oil and other things, they have ruled that that action is not legal in terms of the Constitution. The president has the authority to put a tax on certain things coming into the country, and they have a period of 90, actually a period of 150 days to impose that for the effect to base the charge a rate anywhere between 10 and 15%. That's what the courts rule is legal. You can do that, but it's only for a finite period of time. Do that to basically destabilize the economy and deal with other issues. In this situation, after the court ruled that his initial emergency tariffs, taxes, was found illegal, that means that the money collected from that illegal act has to be returned. Right now, they're looking at about 197 million, $197 billion. That's a lot of money to get back. So what's happening is that the courts has also given him the leeway of taxation, which means he has the ability to tax things that he want And in this situation, the president decided on Friday that he's going to put a 10% tax, global tax, on everything, in addition to what he have to basically recoup some of these losses that he's expecting to come on. So that started a whole shockwave of feelings between the countries and already such things, but it was not the end of the day. Then again, on Saturday, the president had a change of mind. He basically saying, you know what? I'm not happy with what the court said. I'm not happy with the situation. This is unpatriotic. So he immediately a new tariff rate of 15%. That 15% goes in effect immediately and is globally. And like I said before, the court said that he can inflict that 15% tariffs is for a period of 150 days, and after that he has to do it again. So basically, he has found a way to circumvent the court's decision. The Republicans trying to figure out how this thing works. The Democrats is not happy about this. The world is outraged on this 15% additional tariffs that's being implemented immediately by the United States. So this is causing a lot of concern about how this government is running things, how we are treating our neighbors, well, maybe ex-neighbors now, our allies, and then at the same time, we are looking at issues here in the United States that's still going on. The prices are going up. I'll give you an example. I had to get some paint to patch up a ceiling. That contractor come in, had to get some white flat paint. A gallon of paint has now accelerated to 100 US dollars. You hear me? 100 US dollars for 1 gallon of paint, and that's the direct reflection of what things going on. So the people are feeling that it's in the pocketbooks, the stores, the groceries, the ability to buy things. These costs, these changes are going to have a direct and a profound effect on the citizens and the everyday people who work in the United States. Yes, the other countries are going to pass, they're going to frown on it and they're not going to like it, but that's going to be passed on to the consumer. So once again, the consumer has to brunt this pain and infliction while the Trump administration get over his hissy, whatever they're doing on dealing with the world and not being accepted. So now this leads into the midterm. So this adds more fuel onto how the country feels about the current administration and how the current administration feels about the country and what's going on globally.
We were definitely talking about the Middle Eastern tensions. There is many news that is coming in. I'll give you some of these articles that Iran has designated the armed forces of the European Union member states as terrorist entities in a tit-for-tat move. The European Union members have also designated the IRGC as a terrorist entity. I understand this is a trying time for the Middle East. We've seen how Israel has, of course, not followed the norms and the rules for a ceasefire with Lebanon, almost 6 killed and 25 injured over the weekend. And of course, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, has said it would be fine if Israel took control of vast swath of the Middle East, drawing a swift rebuke from regional and other Muslim majority states. I want to start with Norman. What is your understanding of the situation? We know that this climactic event is all surrounded by the Middle Eastern nations, and as of today, we understand that many troops are being pulled out of the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. So I want to understand what are the vibes that you're holding regarding these issues.
Yes, it's a very peculiar situation that's occurring in the Middle East. I've spoken to my colleagues in the Middle East, Dubai, and they're talking everything. Well, everything is calm to the point where they are preparing to move their families with passports out of the country once they get an indication of trouble brewing. So right now, there's been preparation to basically uh, deal with they feel that is a impending conflict with the U.S. and Iran.
Right.
So what that means for the people say in Dubai is spillover. There's no way that they can stay neutral. We have a military base in the UAE. Uh, there's a lot of activity happening in that region regarding the movement of aircrafts, the movement of ships, the movement of military equipment. And this is on both sides. Iran is conducting deep drills, and they are now, I share with you, they are receiving uh, uh, cargo from other countries, Far East countries, are now bringing in almost every hour, dropping military technology equipment to Iran to assist them with their defense. So things are moving forward. Countries like Syria, you mentioned, is saying that no air flights are going to come over their country, allowed to come out their countries. The bases are being restricted. The same thing,
Right.
the UAE even mentioned that the UAE, they're not going to want the US or Israel to use as airspace in conjunction with this conflict. So basically, what we're looking at is that the Brotherhood of the Nations are now communicating and they're talking about this impending attack and they're trying to mitigate the outcome of this. They're trying to send a clear message to Iran that hey, we work with these people, but we're not them. We're not them, and don't take it out on us. So they know that something is planning to occur. There's going to be a prolific response to the Americans and whoever supports them in the region. They will take the brunt of the attack. If you attack Iran, we're going to blow the region up. We're going to cause problems to the point where the U.S. has to make changes. There's too much money, there's too much resources. Trade and commerce is going to be affected. The Suez Canal. We have the issue around it. The Strait is going to, they're talking about mining that. So if you stop that movement of flow, trades, goods, shipments, and that will stop if there's the war. Once the war stops, that will be off limits, that area. Airspace, water spaces, everything. It would be considered a combat red zone. So the world economy will have effect, at least 20% of it initially, but more so it will cost more because this is not something that's going to be just germane to that area of Iran and that area around the Strait. This is going to be something unknown
Right.
currently, and that's the issue why the U.S. hasn't went in already because there's too many unknowns. The intelligence is being blocked. Uh, Things are being covered up so they can't see. They're working basically as a blind man in the region, and this is
Right.
because the countries are now shutting the door. Say, hey, we're not involved in this. We don't want to be involved. We don't want to have the repercussions of this. So basically, what we're going to do, we're not going to communicate what we see and what we know, and we're just going to basically protect our own and close the door and tell you have to come in another way versus coming in our countries. This is causing a problem to the U.S. because we are basically going into a potential global conflict blindly into the region. You're going into Iran, which is a vast country, and we have no way of what their response going to be. And if not, we'll be able to get out in one piece. So it's very, very cautiously we're looking at the situation exactly when. We know there's going to be a attack, but the question is when and how. It will be a surgical attack or it will be a protracted long term. What we're concerned about is we go in there with the intention of having a surgical strike and get out. The issue is that is not guaranteed. We go in and we may get into something that we don't want to get into. uh, and have to stay there and have to put boots on the ground, other resources, and our neighbors are being attacked, and we have to come back and help with them. And so this is a situation where, yes, you can come in, you can attack, you can blow up a couple buildings, but what we do, you will not know. you will see your infrastructure and your neighbors and the people you deal with will be severely impacted by this. Is this something United States wants to get into? So that is the question: that is this something that the United States want to engage in, and they are they prepared for the repercussions? It's not the attack; it's the repercussions. Thank you.